Am I the a-hole for kicking my cousin off of my sister's wedding Zoom call? My 27 male, older sister 30 female, and her fiancé, 31 male, were planning for over a year for their wedding to be this month. Obviously, they can't have the wedding as planned, but they still would like to get married, so they decided on a Zoom wedding where all of the family/friends would just call in to watch the officiant, my sister, and her fiancé. My sister didn't want to be in charge of hosting the Zoom call, because she thought it would stress her out, so she asked me to, and I gladly accepted. She and her fiancé decided to invite everyone they originally wanted to, and it was a very big list. When we were going over the list, my sister mentioned to me that she wanted everyone else to be muted for the majority of the wedding as she was worried that others would talk over her and her fiancé and quote overshadow them on their big day that was already scaled down. However, her and her fiancé said that I should unmute everyone at one point so everyone could talk and have a nice time with each other. Fast forward to the day of the wedding, everyone is muted during the ceremony, which goes great, and so I then unmute everyone and ask to please raise a hand if they'd like to talk, so it doesn't get confusing. My cousin, around my age, starts waving his hand crazily, and he's with his longtime girlfriend, also similar age I'll guess. He's a very gregarious guy, so Elle was not surprised. Then, he says stuff like, my sister and her husband are such an inspiration, it's given me the courage to do this, then turns to his girlfriend and pulls out a box that is the size of an engagement ring box. Elle immediately saw this as him trying to steal the spotlight, something that he's done since we were kids. He would secretly mess up my sister and I's drawings if the adults would praise ours, and booted him off of the call. Then I quickly announced that my cousin had technical difficulties and would not be joining again. Everyone else accepted this and went about talking, and my sister and her husband did too. The rest of the wedding went smoothly except for the fact that my cousin kept texting me angrily saying that he finally wanted to propose as a surprise with family all around, and I ruined it. My aunt and uncle texted me the same. Am I the a-hole for telling a store clerk my baby died? I lost my baby at birth, she had the cord in a knot, and it was an unfortunate accident. I've been grieving, but today decided to start returning baby items. I started with clothing, and when asked why I was returning the clothes, I told the clerk it didn't work out. She said she had to put a specific reason for the return, so I said my baby died, so Elle won't be needing clothes for her anymore. The clerk went to get her manager and the manager told me what I had said was uncalled for, and pretty much told me they couldn't process my refund. I will admit I called my mom in a very angry mood and she essentially told me Elle would have said the same thing. You were brutal, and she didn't need to know that. You're just projecting. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for resenting my family for something that happened over a decade ago? When I was 15, I was in a car accident. I was riding my bike on new bike lanes that my city had installed, and a car hit me. I ended up having to go to the hospital. Nothing major. The car was turning onto the main road when it hit me, so it was going well below the speed limit, but since it was a car accident, I was forced into the ambulance and shipped off to the hospital to get x-rays. Since I was a minor, I wasn't allowed to be released from the hospital without my family coming to pick me up. I didn't have a cell phone at the time, so I called my home phone with the hospital phone. No answer. The nurse told me they'll try to contact them while I go in to get examined. Not too serious, since I'm still alive, but my leg was broken, and I still kinda walk weird. When walking, my right leg footprints are straight, while my left foot is angled 30 degrees outward. When all that was done, they said they were still unable to get a hold of anyone from my family 8 hours later, and who knows how many calls. The cop who showed up to the scene came back to the hospital, and I was still there, so he ended up driving me back home. When I got to my house, I opened the door and my mom instantly freaked out when she saw the cop and started yelling at me asking what the duck I did. The cop explained the situation and started asking Mom why no one picked up the phone, She said we didn't recognize the number. It's been over a decade since then, and I was on a Zoom call with the family, and that incident was brought up. Wasn't even me who brought it up, and I simply said haha, that's why I never used any of you as an emergency contact. Well, they blew up. Mom started crying, since I guess she still felt guilty about it, and hung up. My siblings started saying things like Jesus. That was over a decade ago. You need to let it go. Apologize to mom. She didn't know. She would have came to pick you up if she had known. Yo. Even the friends I was with told me they went knocking on my door to tell fam what happened, and my mom opened the door, and before they were even able to say anything, my mom says my name isn't here right now, and closed the door. Truth be told, I still kinda resented that time. Every winter I would look down at my footprints, and it's a reminder of it, since it showed me I couldn't really depend on my family. Am I the a-hole for still resenting this? Not like it's a constant resentment, but I still kinda have mixed feelings. Am I the a-hole for refusing to reconcile with a friend even though she apologized? A year ago, I had a baby. Along with the baby came PPD. I was at my all-time lowest. I didn't want to tell my husband without a diagnosis, because his mom committed suicide due to depression. I knew something was wrong with me, and I reached out to a friend. I have known her for 5 years. She had really bad fertility issues for the past 10 years, including failed IVF cycles, miscarriages and a stillborn. I have been sensitive as far I knew. I told her I wanted to get a doctor's opinion before telling my husband. She blew up at me about motherhood is a joy, and how I could possibly be depressed about having a healthy baby. She asked me whether I wished my baby died, because that's what PPD means. She also told me how selfish it was for me to dump all this on my husband, knowing his history with people with depression. She yelled at me about how she would be happy to have a baby and I'm ungrateful, and I'm a bad mother, because of how I'm feeling. At this point, I feel even more low, and decide to keep this to myself as I felt really shameful. Few more weeks passed, and my husband caught on, and wanted to take me to a doctor. I felt ashamed, and I broke down. He told me to stop talking to her, and I finally got the help I needed, with my husband's assistance. Once I got well, my husband told me to reach out to her if I wanted. I didn't want to because now Elle could see how messed up what she told me actually was. It's been almost a year since I stopped talking to her. Recently, she reached out to me. She wanted to talk about what happened. She told me about how she was in a bad mental place back then, and she was talking it out on everyone around her. She lashed out at me because she was jealous that I had a baby and she didn't. She couldn't genuinely understand how I could have been depressed. And that I shouldn't have asked advice regarding motherhood to a woman who was upset and infertile. She told me it was surprising that I didn't realize she needed mental help. She told me about she has been going to therapy and she would never behave like that again. She told me how she and her husband took a break on trying for kids. They are about to resume IVF treatment again, and she told me she wanted to reconcile because she missed me and she needed her friend. I accepted whatever she said. I told her I'm happy she got help. I wished her good luck regarding the IVF, but at last I told her that I'm not willing to ever be her friend again. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my engagement ring to late fiance's brother? I, 27 female, am really conflicted regarding my decision. Me and my late fiancé, Alex, were together for about 12 years. We were high school, in the beginning of 2020, sweethearts. We were engaged for around 3 years, when he passed away due to an accident. I was really close with his family before everything happened. Once he died, spending time with them was only hurting me with what could have been. I moved to the other side of the city, to be closer to my new job, and I still talk to them, but not as much as before. Few weeks ago, Alex's brother, Ben, came to visit me. He is planning to propose to his girlfriend. I was very happy him. He asked me if he could have the family's engagement ring. The ring Alex gave me was a family ring which had been in the family for generations. Alex's mom gave him the ring when he proposed to me as he was the eldest son. I have been wearing this ring for almost 3 years. It's a symbol that Alex wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. It represents our relationship to me. I conveyed the same. Ben lost his calm, and he was yelling at me about how it's his family ring, and that it belongs to him, now that Alex is dead. I told him to get out. I called Alex's mom to let her know why I wanted to keep the ring. She told me she wouldn't have minded if I had been married to Alex. But I wasn't, so I'm not a part of the family, and therefore I should return the ring. She also told me that, since I'm young, I'm going to move on, and that it's unfair to hold on to a ring that I will never wear again. Especially a ring that belonged to her family for generations. It belongs to the family, and not me or Alex. As Alex didn't buy it, I would have at least considered giving back the ring if few years had passed, and I had moved on. I just can't bear the thought of parting with this ring now. So, I told her that I'm sorry she felt that way, but Alex gave me this ring and I'm not giving it back, and promptly hung up. Ben and his mom are spamming my phone with messages and calls about how I'm trying to steal their family ring. They obviously think I'm an asshole. Edit. At first, it was just a matter of civil disagreement, but as time goes it's getting more heated and lot more yelling and crying from both sides. So, am I the a-hole? Edit. As I mentioned in the post, I'm not saying that I will never return the ring. I'm just saying I'm not ready to return it now. Edit 2. Please don't send hurtful DMs. Am I the a-hole for confronting my sister-in-law for wearing clothes that belonged to me? Some info. A few years ago, my family didn't have a lot of spare money to buy a lot of things, lower middle class. Only recently, around 2016, did my husband get a new job, and we got financially better by a lot, so finally we could afford to buy things for our kids and travel. In 2018, I was so excited when my husband got both of us tickets to go to India for 2 weeks, and gave me 200,000 rupees for Punjabi suit shopping, traditional Indian clothes. This meant a lot to me, because my husband is a nice man, but he's very quiet, and not very romantic, so this gesture meant a lot to me, because he knew how badly Elle wanted to go to India. We went to India, got beautiful suits, I also bought a few for my kids and sister-in-laws, and was so happy. I had never gone on a shopping spree like that before in my 45 years of living. When we reached our home country, my husband surprised me with a gift. It was this beautiful lehenga that costed 30,000 rupees that he had secretly purchased for me. He said to keep it and wear it on our 25th wedding anniversary celebration. Fast forward to our 25th anniversary, 8 months ago, my daughter and I are rummaging through all my clothes and I cannot find this lehenga at all. We searched for days and could not find it. We barely have any friends come over as we usually just go out with them, so mostly only my husband's family visited my home. My family lives in a different state. Elle explained this to my husband, and he was very upset. I was crushed. I know it might sound stupid to be upset over a piece of clothing, but for a couple that barely did anything romantic, this meant a lot to me. About a week ago, my daughter comes running out of her room and shows me a picture of my sister-in-law wearing the exact same lehenga as the one my husband bought. I asked her how she found the photo and she explained that she was on Instagram and she saw that her cousin was at a small get-together. The restrictions allow up to 30 people to attend a party, and saw her aunt in the background wearing the exact same lehenga, so she took a screenshot. I was livid, but I didn't want to jump to any conclusions. So Elle waited for a few days to calm down, and proceeded to call my sister-in-law. Elle explained everything. And she was silent. After I finished, the only thing she said was I saw it last year and just borrowed it. You have so many suits, I don't know why you are so angry. I took one. I was pissed because she took it without permission, feigned innocence when I asked her about it last year, and is now claiming that I'm overreacting. I lost it and just gave her a piece of my mind for 20 minutes. She straight hanged up when I was done. Now my mother-in-law and my other sister-in-laws are calling me an asshole for scolding her, and they're forcing me to apologize to her and just let her keep the lengha. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdad to stop trying to be my dad? I'm 35, and my mom who is 52 is dating a man who is 27. This is fucking weird as hell, and I really don't like this guy, but whatever. He always brings up the fact that he's my stepdad and always talks about how proud of me he is, and how good of a son I've become and how he's raised me so well and shit. Like he's literally acting like my dad, which pisses me off, because he is younger than me, and was barely ever in my life, but more so, because I actually had a dad who unfortunately passed away. I told him to stop in private, and he brushed it off as nothing. My stepdad was at a family gathering, and he was making jokes about how much of a great stepson I am, and how proud of me he is, and I lost my shit, and said, listen you worthless sack of shit, you are not my dad, just because you're dating my mom, you didn't raise me, and you're the youngest person here. Shut the duck up, you're an annoying brat, and you're fucking weird for dating someone almost twice your age. Shut the duck up, and the rest of us don't want you here. He packed up his shit and left. 2/3 of the family was happy he was gone, but the other third basically won't speak to me, and are pissed off, including my mom. Am I the a-hole for not using my foreign language skills at my job? So a year and a half ago I was bored and downloaded Duolingo. I liked it, from there I kept learning. I did a few community college Spanish classes. Paid for on my own time. I'm terrible at reading Spanish, but am becoming pretty fluent in areas I need to be. Here is the issue, my employer always tries to get me to translate and use my skill. They constantly will call me out of tasks I'm doing to translate and speak with Hispanic individuals for translation. We do offer an interpreter via phone they can use. Interpreters make $21 starting. I told my employer I would gladly translate if I received a pay raise. My point being, that I learned the skill, I worked on it, and I paid for it. I've been refusing to translate or help in this regard. I look like an a-hole, but I'm not gonna let them walk in front of me. Am I being totally out of line here? White male 30 health co-worker, large Latina demographic in area uses hospital. Am I the a-hole for saying we'd only help with my ex's kids party if we could tell people we are engaged? This guy, Jack, and I were together for about a year, and within a couple weeks of ending it, found out I was pregnant. I texted Jack to tell him, and a couple hours later this woman, Liz, showed up at my place saying she and Jack had been together for 6 months, and she was also pregnant, and when the text arrived she got my address out of Jack's phone, so she could talk to me before him. I told her everything, and Liz dumped Jack. I was about 6 weeks along at this stage, and she was 12 weeks. Liz and I weren't exactly busy mates to begin with, but Jack took a huge step back when he realized how angry at him we both were, so Liz and I ended up doing pregnancy stuff together. When my roommate said that she didn't want to live with a baby, Liz suggested we move in together. Jack objected, but we told him to get lost, and moved in together. Over the years we got closer. I've always known I was bi, but when our kids were a year old, Liz realized that she was gay, and when the kids were about 5, Liz asked me out. We knew it was a little weird, but nothing about our relationship before this was conventional, so we figured why get hung up on normal now. We've been together 4 years now, and Liz proposed a few months ago. I said yes. Jack has been an involved parent this whole time, paying us both child support, and having custody on alternate weekends. He's met someone new, married a few years ago, and they have a son, Tommy. Tommy looks up to the 9-year-olds, my son, Liz's daughter, and loves them a lot, and they adore their little brother. Tomorrow, Tommy is having a socially distanced birthday party for his 5th birthday. The current guest list is both sets of grandparents, an aunt/uncle/cousin trio, the neighbor's son, then me, Liz, and our kids. They've kept it pretty small for obvious reasons, and there's only going to be 5 kids there total, and Tommy is good friends with the neighbor's kid, but not so much with his cousin. The party is on a day that Jack doesn't have custody, so he's asked us to bring the kids as a favor. He's also asked us to stay and help with the party, because I'm a pretty decent baker/cook, and he's asked me to make the cake, which I agreed to, and it looks pretty good, if I say so myself. But now, the day before the party, Jack has told me and Liz that his wife's family are homophobic, so for the duration of the party he's going to need us to pretend we are straight, single mums, because Jack is already on thin ice with them for getting 3 women pregnant. We said we'd drop the kids and the cake, but not stick around, because Jack's parents hate us both anyway and we won't hide our relationship. Jack has said we are being unreasonable. He needs us to do this as a favor, and we already agreed to help, so we can't bail on him the day before the party. Are we the a-holes? Edit. I wasn't going to post about this here, but since posting this, we've had a bunch of comment about how this sounds like a rom-com, which is fine, and we are okay with joking about it, but in addition to this, we've had 4 actual messages/comments saying that someone seriously wants to adapt this into a novel screenplay. That's weird, and it makes us uncomfortable. These are our lives. Please stop. Am I the a-hole for not telling my boyfriend I received my unemployment? I'm 28 female, and he is 30 male. I met him when I was 23, and we hit it off immediately. Everything seemed to be perfect, blah blah. However, after I landed a great job 2 years into our relationship, he slowly but surely stopped working altogether. My salary was now doubled what he made, and I guess he saw that as a reason to no longer have to work. At first I thought it was depression, so I didn't say anything. A year after that he was doing an odd job for his dad, and ended up injuring his back. No surgery was required, but it causes him some pain. This is now his excuse for not working, while he still does do odd jobs for his family, which he does get paid for, though not much. Anyways, the job I worked for was forced to shut down due to what's going on, laying off all 12k employees. Since I have been laid off, he definitely has picked up more odd jobs and stuff, and it is enough to get us by, though it's not nearly enough to pay any bills. I applied for unemployment in the beginning of April and I just received it a week ago. During the time that I was waiting for unemployment, he was becoming more and more impatient about receiving that money and expressing his desire to use that money to buy a boat or go on a week vacation, and now he is talking about wanting to buy a bass guitar for $780 for his buddy. I told him I wasn't comfortable with any of that, but he insisted that it would hardly put a dent in the funds. Now, given the fact that I want to use the money for more logical things, such as pay off my back bills, rent and fix my car's windshield, I don't want to tell him that I received the money. I know that as soon as he finds out he will start spending it, and it will be gone before I'll even know what happened. The same thing happened when we got taxes. So I was out at the shop getting some new tires and his sister shows up and sees me. She starts asking me a million questions about how I have money to put new tires on my car. I lied and said that my mom gave me some loaned money. She then said, "Good, I thought you got unemployment and are trying to hide the money." I asked her why she would think that, and she said, "Vertical bar just figured you guys changed your mind about helping me pay off my house taxes." I must have had a weird look on my face, because she then said, "Yeah, Chris told me that you guys agreed to loan me $5,600 to pay it off, and I would pay you back $300 a month until Vertical Bar have it squared away." I never agreed to that, and I'm not giving her money. This is just another reason why I do not want to tell him. So I spoke to my mom about it, and she has mixed feelings. She said she understands why I want to hide it, but she feels like I should be honest with him and tell him I did get it, but he will not be using it. She said withholding the information from him would make me in a hole. So am I the a-hole? Update: so Elle went to a local coffee shop to think things over about all of this. My boyfriend saw me through the window, just my luck, and came inside and asked how I got the money to get coffee. So, I told him about the unemployment money, and then told him that he will not have access to it because he is irresponsible with finances and I need to safeguard myself. Initially he was offended, but after I broke down and explained to him that I felt he has been using me for nearly 3 years and now involving his family, he instantly caved and handed me my debit card. He says he is going to try to find a permanent job and get back on track, even claiming he lost himself in the moment because he enjoyed being able to stay home and essentially be a house husband, his words, not mine. He also called his sister in front of me on speaker and told her that their agreement had not been set in stone and that her expecting the money to be forked over to her was absurd. I guess we will see where this goes from here, guys. Thank you so much for all your words of wisdom. Am I the a-hole for telling these guys' bosses that they'd been saying some pretty horrible things about me, a 16-year-old girl, online? My dad is a public figure and I guess got pulled in. My dad is a public figure in our state. I want to keep things relatively anonymous. But what I can say is that he's well known in the state, not very well known outside of the state, and he's considered controversial. He and I aren't very close. He isn't home much, and is honestly kinda an absent father. I like to stay out of the public image myself, so I don't often go to events with him, or travel with him. My mom likes to keep the family as a whole out of the public eye. Well, I guess some people who don't see my father in the best light dug up info on his family, including me. This honestly scared me, having my name and some stuff from my private Instagram go public. And a few of the comments that freaked me out the most were kind of vile ones from grown-ups about my body, speculating on my promiscuity, which doesn't exist, lol, I'm shy as hell, and my sexuality, calling me homophobic names. I'm actually a closeted lesbian, so that stuff hurt. I don't give a damn if they don't agree with my father. That's no reason to say horrific things about a high school girl who didn't want to be a part of any of it. On the internet for the whole world to read if they look up my name. I thought, oh well, took and play at this, and found the places the worst of these people worked. Then I called their employers and said, does X work for you? Okay, yeah. I'm a girl who's a student at local high school, and X said that I was a ref asterisk 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 T, a res asterisk asterisk T, that he'd do asterisk 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 etc. It scared me, and I wanted to call to tell you that you should be concerned for any young or female employees who work with X. I don't work there obviously, but if he'd say that stuff to a child, I dunno. I also emailed a couple of the bosses screenshots of their words. Like, I didn't give the context they were talking about me, because I'm related to my father, so out of context especially they looked psycho. Not that they weren't already acting like psychos, but yeah. I told my brothers what I did, and my little brother thinks it's funny, but my older brother thought I shouldn't have done it. People say all sorts of things on the internet that are hyperbole and they wouldn't say to someone's face. I was like, well, maybe that should stop, and he got annoyed at me for being naive. Am I the a-hole for looking up the bosses of internet trolls who said horrible stuff about me because they don't like my father? And calling them to tell them what their employees had said, but not giving all the context, so they looked especially psycho? Am I the a-hole for homing our dog? Throw away 2 years ago, my husband wanted a husky. I agreed, only if responsibility is split. He had labs growing up, and I Australian shepherds. I warned him about high energy dogs, how if they don't burn it off, it's like having another toddler. Our kids were 1 year and 3 year. We adopted Shadow, who was 8 months. Things were great at first. We work from home and have acres of land, so we were able to give the pup his needs. A year ago my husband became depressed. I took on all household chores, the kids, and the dog. I struggled to balance. Shadow started to act out. Can't blame him, a husky unable to run isn't a happy pup. Few months ago, we found out our youngest is allergic to dogs. Allergist said Shadow wouldn't be an issue, as long as we keep up on cleaning, and once old enough we'll talk about medication/shots. I sat my husband down, and told him pull his weight or I will find Shadow a home. He helped for a month. Our son's allergies flared up so bad the allergist suggested rehoming, because it's not fair to both our son and the dog. I agreed, but my husband didn't. I contacted a friend who's single/childless, has the time/ability, and great home/yard to give Shadow a wonderful life. Shadow already loves her, so it made sense, plus we'd be able to see him still as he's just a few roads over. Shadow left a few days ago when husband was out with the kids. The kids are upset, but took it well. My husband threw such a fit, calling me a selfish a-hole and more. Now I'll feel like dirt. Am I the a-hole for a homing Shadow, when my husband didn't want to? Am I the a-hole for disrespecting my grandfather-in-law in retaliation to him telling my 5-year-old she looks sexy? The title is pretty self-explanatory. I got me and my daughter all dolled up for a family birthday dinner, even our masks matched our outfits. And as I'm installing the car seat in the Grand Rent's car, my grandfather-in-law was making his way around the vehicle to the passenger's side. My daughter was sitting on the trunk waiting for me to finish installing the car seat. As he scooters past her, he low-voiced said, "You look so cute, you look sexy," and I guess he didn't expect me to hear him, but I snapped at him, "No sir, don't ever call my child sexy," and he snapped back, "I didn't mean it like that." And I just shot him a look and moved on. I told my sister and grandma what happened through text, and they both said, "He probably didn't really mean it like that. You didn't have to cock attitude at him, just ignore him." And I'm just baffled, cause what other way is there? I've only ever known sexy to mean one thing, and I've never once thought, "Oh, that's a sexy kid, a gag." I'm at a loss. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my grandfather-in-law? Edit. Others have brought it up, so it seems like crucial information. He does have dementia. IDK how far along, or when it started, and I also am not very knowledgeable on dementia either. All I've ever really known about it is that it makes people slowly lose mental ability like memories and motor function. I didn't know it could cause inappropriate comments as well. He's also chair-locked due to another health issue. He never gets time with her unsupervised as someone is always near him for just in case he needs quick assistance, so he's always got eyes on him. Am I the a-hole for not wanting kids? When I was 24, I had a baby with Liz. We trucked along for 5 years and got divorced. The kid, Jane, was very upset by the whole thing. I never really wanted kids and Jane was a mistake. I realized after we had her exactly how child-free I wanted to be. At first we basically had 50/50 custody. While we got it formally figured out, we just worked around our schedules, and while we both worked she spent time at her grandparents'. The problem arose when I realized I was dreading having her over. A lot of the time we did 10 days each. The divorce took ages due to state laws etc. And I had the time of my life on my 10 days off and hated having her with me. She was fine before but now was showing some really shitty behavior to me specifically. Nothing major but she was well behaved before. The divorce was finally about to go through and our legally obligations toward Jane decided. I told my lawyer that I wanted no custody full stop, but would pay full and maximum child support instead. My ex-Liz and my parents were not happy about this, but I told them I was moving across the country to a city and this was the only way. So I did move, and paid full child support with only one late monthly payment. It's now 10 years later, and I'm exceptionally happy. I'm now married again, and my wife doesn't want kids either. Jane is 14 though, and has been contacting me, through Facebook and my parents. I haven't been in contact with them much, because they chose to keep having a relationship with Jane despite me not wanting us to be involved. My wife therefore found out somehow and now she's mad at me. Jane wants to have a relationship, but I do not want kids, and have made that so clear. I called my ex-wife out on Facebook for allowing her to contact me. She shouldn't be near Facebook at that age WTF, and for turning my parents against me. But now the family keep messaging me telling me to F off. Am I the a-hole for deciding I don't want this kid? Edit. Been with current wife for 4 years. Just found out that it was my sister-in-law that messaged her to tell her to.
Thank you for watching. I will be making one video every 2 days. If you like this video, please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and like the video to let me know you enjoyed it. Until next time, have a wonderful day.